We are about to check out the second video of this section. In this video, we will check out first what are literals, and then we will see what are the various ways to write string literals. And also we will check out the concept of string interpolation, which is one of the most basic but important concept in terms of programming language. So here within our main function, let us clean up our code. And now let us write some comment statements. So one by one, let us check out these concepts. So firstly, what is a literal? Well, if you define suppose just 2 or a string value or some double value such as 4.5, now all of these values such as 4.5, John and also 2, and even if you define a boolean value of true, then all of these are basically known as literals in Dart. Not only in Dart but in other programming languages as well. And on the left you can now assign it to var, variable name and then the value. And here as well you can assign int x equal to 2, something like this. So these are basically the literals and you can assign them to some variables like we have done here. Perfect. And now let us check out what are the various ways to define the string literals. I will now show you two simple examples. Well, in these two examples, if you notice, the string s1 has the literal value enclosed within the single quote, that is single quote open and then single quote close, like this. Now in the second example, we again have a string literal, but this time it has been enclosed within the double quote. Now in Dart, we have the flexibility to use either the single quote or the double quote. In both ways, it is correct way of string representation. Now let us take another example. So here if you notice, I have just written it's easy. Well, I want this whole part to be a string literal, but the compiler here is a bit confused. It is not able to understand what we have just defined because it is simply using the single quote open and then single quote close. And it is basically treating this it as a string. Now after the single quote, the apostrophe s, then space, then easy, it is not able to identify it as a part of string literal. So for that we have to make compiler understand that in between the single apostrophe that we are having here, it is not basically the end of string literal. So for that we have something called escape character. So for that we just use the backslash and now we are good to go. So this will actually make the compiler understand that it's easy is a full string literal. Now what about the double quote? So let us copy it and paste it here and change it to S4 and now change the single quote to double quote and let us try to remove this backslash. Now in this case the compiler is not complaining because it is able to distinguish between that we have a double quote open and then in the end we have double quote close. So whatever we have written in between the double quote is actually the string literal. Let us take one more example and in this case suppose we have a very large string statement. For example, string s5 equal to, this is going to be a very long string. This is just a sample long string demo in Dart programming language. Now here if you notice our string statement is going out of the screen. Well, it is not a very good programming practice. Your all the code should be within this margin that you can see here. Your code should never go beyond this point. So in that case what you can do is either use the plus symbol like this and then end it here, open it here. Perfect. So here what we have done is this is one string till here and then we are adding using this plus symbol this another string. So both of these are actually forming a complete string starting from here till here. But in Dart we have some flexibility. You don't need to use this plus symbol. That is, whatever you write after this pair of code are combined together to form a single string like this. So in Dart we no longer need to have this plus symbol. Now let us come to our string interpolation. Now what is string interpolation? So for that again, let us see a few examples. My name is, let's say, name like this. We are simply adding two strings and just forming a new string of message. Let us now try to print out message. So here we go, we got my name is Kevin. Perfect. Now, what if I tell you that in Dart, as per the convention, using plus symbol is considered to be a very bad programming practice. That is, it is against the convention. So here comes string interpolation into picture. Now what is string interpolation? So for that, what we can do is within the double quote itself, we can actually get the value of name by using the name variable and then add a prefix to it, that is a dollar symbol. And now you can basically remove this part. Run the code again. And there we go. My name is Kevin. We are getting the same output. Perfect. And even you can write this whole string statement or the literal in place of message variable like this. And now we no longer need this. Run the code again. Perfect. My name is Kevin. Let us take a step ahead and let us try to print out the number of characters in the string Kevin. Now our traditional approach will be to use the plus symbol and then use name dot length like this. This whole statement will actually return the length of this Kevin string, right? Run the code. And there we go, we have got some error. It says that the type integer is not the subtype of string. That is, this whole statement name.length is basically returning the integer value. So in order to make this work, we need to convert this into the string. So for that, we have a method of toString. And now let us run the code. And there we go, the number of characters in the string Kevin is 5. Now the question arises how to write this statement as per the Dart convention. That is, how to use the string interpolation here. So for that, what we can do is we can use name dot length like this. And now let us use a dollar symbol here. And then we can actually remove this part, the right hand side. Now if you notice here, this dollar symbol is basically being applied to the name variable. It is not being applied to the length variable. So just remember right now, the dollar symbol is only applicable for the attached variable name. Now if you want to apply the dollar symbol to the whole part till here, so for that you can use curly bracket open and then curly bracket whole. Now this whole expression will be interpolated and we will get the value in the output. Run the code and there we go, we are getting the same output. Perfect. And now as per the coding convention, also remember that you should never use the curly bracket open here and then here like this, because here we just have one variable name, that is one identifier. So wherever possible, try to avoid this curly bracket open and close. And this string interpolation is not only applicable for the strings, it is also applicable for double or integer or the boolean value. Let me show you a very simple example in case of integer. Let us define integer length and breadth. Let us print it out with the help of string interpolation. I want to print out the sum of length and breadth. We can use string interpolation, curly bracket open and close. Now whatever we have written within the curly bracket will be treated as an expression. So in the output we will get the sum of L and B like this. Run the code and there we go, sum of length and breadth is 30. Let us now improve the user experience and modify our code. For example, instead of L, I want to print out 20. So here as well I can use string interpolation. Perfect. Run the code and there we go. Sum of 20 and 10 is 30 like that. You can even get the area of the rectangle whose length and breadth is given here, such as and let us implement our interpolation here, that is length into breadth, curly bracket open and close, use the dollar symbol, and here as well breadth is $B and length is $L like this. Launch the application and there we go, the area of the rectangle with length 20 and breadth 10 is 200. Well, our output is looking pretty weird, so I will now rectify it. Perfect. Launch the code again. And now we are good to go. So in the end, for your convenience, here in the comment line, I would like to add something. Use $string interpolation like this instead of plus sign in order to combine two strings. So that's all for this video.